Hey everyone, this is your man, the Bigga P, and I'm here with my thoughts from the Showtime quadruple header that just finished. Um, Overall, it was a very entertaining night of fights. All four fights delivered their own entertainment, culminating with an absolutely brilliant main event. First, we'll start with the opener, which was Shumenov versus Kovacs. Now, Shumenov is known as pretty much as the most as is pretty known um, as the unknown. Excuse me, let me mute this. Yes, as the unknown 175 champion. He fights very infrequently. The reason why is because he's his own promoter until he signed with Golden Boy recently. So he's a champion. He's only had about 13, 14 professional fights. He's not a bad fighter. So I was thinking to so I remember like typing that yes, Shumenov needs to make a good impression. At least this time again to the swing of things, because 175 is heating up now as the division to be in, and he didn't disappoint. Kovacs, I mean, I've never seen Kovacs fight before, other than just looking at his record on BoxRec. I mean, he was game, but he just simply didn't have it. Shumenov just pretty much obliterated him with lead right hands. After the third one, that sent him like absolutely sprawling into a corner. The referee stopped it, and that's the type of fight that Shumenov needed because it was on a big stage, and hopefully this will get him a big fight. Let's say, I know Hopkins was interested in probably going after a unification or something like that, and I, for one, encourage it. Like I said, I encourage unification among all the champions in their divisions. So yeah, Shumenov, like he made a statement, he won, and I am happy about that. The next fight was Santa Cruz versus Sita. Very interesting fight. This was a fight I did not expect to go the distance at all. I thought maybe the volume punching of Santa Cruz would have actually done Sita in, but Sita he hung tough. The southpaw style Sita was actually giving him fits. The problem was Sita didn't have enough power on him to actually stop Santa Cruz, who pretty much just walked forward through his combinations. He did get a knockdown in that fight. But Santa Cruz was just less, but he outworked him. Sita was game from 1 to 12. He wasn't in any type of trouble or anything in that fight. And I thought it was absolutely I thought it was a very entertaining fight because both men were just throwing heat. And so Santa Cruz, like I said, he cruised to the decision. And Sita, I would say give or take maybe a year or two, can really develop into something special at 122. And at least now, I mean, unlike the last week where with Abeco and Rigo, that at least I'm glad that they actually found a live body who actually came in the fight. But I would, like I said, as I said in my other video, I would love to see Rigo versus Santa Cruz. I feel that it would be an absolutely interesting fight. Excuse me. Interesting fight to watch. Then there's the co-main event, Thurman versus Soto Karass. Now, I thought I was going to see an upset happening when Soto Karass came out and wobbled Keith with an overhand right. And I thought, okay, he's going for a first-round knockout. And he didn't. And Keith managed to survive the storm. And Keith, at that point, was still a little frazzled because I think Soto Karass his pressure was throwing him off his rhythm. But he was still throwing some wide punches. Very wide punches, and Soto Karass was walking them down, cutting off the ring, going to the body, going ahead in order to stop him. But Soto Karass, although he was putting absolute great pressure on him, he was also absorbing far too much punishment. And I think it was in the fifth round that Keith called him with an uppercut, and down he went. And usually, the way he went down, I thought he would have not gone back up because he just like crumbled. So, I mean, he got back up, but after that, it was just slowly got one-sided, like really one-sided, and pretty much Keith now, although his hands were down, I mean, now let's say usually when the fighter's hands are down for a prolonged time, it's like I always say it's a matter of time before they get caught with something. But Thurman avoided that. But Thurman, though, when he did let his hands go, was literally hurting Soto Karass with every combination. He was lumping up badly. And then the end came in. It was in the 9th round. Froze him with the right hand. Hit him with another right hand, and then the left hook sent him crumpling crumpling to the canvas. It was a brutal knockout. And so my hats off to Keith Thurman for that one. As he continues to roll on in the 147-pound division. And then Soto Karass, I mean, obviously it's not retirement. I mean, for him, he took a bad beating. Like he had a nice win streak going. Now do I consider him a gatekeeper? Time will tell. But right now, I still think of him as a very, very, live dog and a contender in the division. Which brings us to our main event, Broner versus Maidana. My thing was, I thought, now the only thing from the Broner fight that I thought that would happen is I thought it would go a distance. The reason why I say that is Broner's power did not carry up to 147, and it showed against Paulie Malignaggi. Although he outboxed him at times and still put hands on him, he outworked him. Paulie gave him a tougher fight than I expected, just by boxing. So off that, and Maidana, I mean, is a tough guy. So I wouldn't expect if he couldn't bother Paulie all that much in the fight, then I don't think it was gonna bother Maidana. Pretty much the tone was set in the first couple of rounds when Broner absolutely got rocked and sent to the canvas. He pretty much. I think from there, his plan was just all up in the air, and what happened was instead of adjusting to Maidana's pressure, waiting for him to ebb, he stayed in one gear. He was either wasn't throwing very few punches or shoulder rolling, which wasn't happening because that overhand right of Maidana's was catching him over and over again. And like I said, and he was just getting outworked. Now Broner, I've always said he has a lot of natural talent. The brains, I've always had questions on, as well as his training and his dedication and stuff like that. But it was just a lot of things. His offense was his defense, but his offense wasn't he wasn't throwing enough punches. He was getting hit a lot. And like I said, I mean, I know he was getting hit in the Reeves fight, and he was getting hit in the Paulie fight, but they didn't have the type of power or too small to bother him. Maidana was literally rocking him with every single punch, and Maidana managed to score another awful left hook, and he looked like he was in trouble. And then the unfortunate thing is that Maidana landed a headbutt on his jaw, which Broner oversold like he got shot. Which was some absolute bullshit. I mean, unless it was to the point where blood was literally pouring out of his mouth, possibly from a broken jaw or a lacerated tongue or whatever. I didn't like that because I don't like seeing theatrics like that, milking it, because he tried to. I mean, it was clear to everyone he tried to draw a DQ, which would have been bullshit if it actually ended that way. So the fight continued, and Maidana's stamina started to ebb. He was slowing down. And this is where Broner could have actually really took the rounds, but he just wasn't throwing enough. And when he was throwing, he was careless. And Maidana was rocking him. He was catching him with left hooks over and over again, the right hands, the looping right hands, the overhand rights, and catching them. But however, in the 11th round, I think at the end of the 11th round, Broner finally did actually manage to hurt Maidana, but unfortunately it was a punch after the bell. And in the 12th round, it saw Maidana actually trying to, still needed to recover from the actual punch, trying to actually weather the storm. And he did that after a minute and a half or so. He came back roaring, and they pretty much slugged it out onto the bell. Now this was in San Antonio, so I was worried about judging fuckery. because I didn't know whether or not they were going to pull somebody. Because it was clear that Broner lost and lost clearly, but I didn't know if it was going to give him a draw for it or find some way for him to win, even though it was a clear-cut loss for him. But it was no fuckery. Maidana won, and he's the new WBA welterweight champion of the world, and kudos to him on his victory. He had a game. Garcia. They had a game plan. They made him uncomfortable, and they made him pay for it. It wasn't a brilliant performance, but it was a great performance. My hats off to him. As for Broner, it was a loss coming. It was a beating, long time coming. For many different reasons, besides what I mentioned before about what he was doing in the fight. Adrian Broner's personal life is not conducive to the boxer lifestyle. I mean, the drinking, the rapping, the touring, the weight gain, and the overall fuckery of his life, his personal life. And there's a lot of distractions, and I felt in this case those were mostly hidden, and he was getting away with this, but this was a wake-up call because he received a ridiculously bad beating from Maidana. I think he can come back, and I still think he has a lot of talent. He's a talented fighter, but I think he can come back, and he needs a style tweak. But two things though, he has to clean up his personal life. He has to. There's no way for what he's doing. He shouldn't be what he's doing because and he paid for it. Like he shouldn't be doing what he's doing in his personal life because it clearly it will affect his boxing. And the second is he needs to get out of 147. He's not built for 147. He doesn't have the power of 147. He doesn't have that type of power to actually. And 147 has the big boys in there. He's not going to survive that division. He needs to go back to 135 and unify the belts there. As far as I know, he still holds the belt there, or go to 140. But 147 is not for him, not in the least. So I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm not a fan of Broner. I personally don't like his antics, but I do realize that he does have potential. He does have skills, but he just needs to basically clean up and go back to the drawing board. So yeah, those were my thoughts on those 4 fights, the quadruple header. So yeah, I'm about to go back on the forums and, of course, look out for that particular fight for myself to download and watch again at some point before I go to sleep tonight. All right, everyone. Peace.